Hey, everybody, welcome to the Soccer Sharps, a soccer betting podcast. Jordan, we're back after a scintillating international break to give you even more incredible matchups this weekend, including the North London Derby, the Milan Derby. We've got all the best matchups around European soccer for you guys, so stick around. Here we go.
Martial, Herrera, Ibrahimovic! Oh my God, an insane goal! I've just seen the most insane goal I have ever seen on a football pitch! Balotelli,
Well, Jord, we are finally done with another international break, and guess what? There's not another international break until March. So we're going to be having fixtures coming thick and fast. We're going to have all kinds of bets, keeping you guys covered. So go ahead and follow us, like, subscribe, wherever you're listening or watching this. We would appreciate it. You'll get updated every time we drop new bets for you guys, new breakdowns, new plays. But Jord, I'll tell you, when that international break comes back, it's going to be a banger. We got a little taste of it this week with some incredible qualifiers. Did you get a chance to see those?
I didn't catch much live, but I did catch highlights of all the relevant, incredible results. You know, Scotland qualifying, the improbable, amazing Ireland situation, just against all the odds, the Irish coming through. And, they still haven't actually qualified for the World Cup, but it felt like they did, just getting into the playoff. That stuff was cool. I was proud of myself, Dev. I didn't bet any of it, really. I had one bet the entire international break. It was like minus 130, and I hit it. So that was good enough for me. Basically used it as another palate cleanse to come back to the business, what we really do here, and cap the domestic European leagues. But what about you, Dev? How was the international break?
Yeah, I mean, similar. Didn't really have any plays, although that Norway money line at Italy's felt like free money. I think it was like plus 220. I was like, what are they doing here? This team is incredible, this Norway team. But it was the first time I was like, ooh, World Cup's coming. This is going to be something. And I give you the little taste because the international, just the incredible, the comebacks you mentioned, that what it means to the players. It's just, you can't match it in club football, it seems like. Club soccer.
It's funny because they've expanded the format this season, right? So this year, we're going to have more fixtures than ever before in the World Cup. And yet, we still have the same teams like Ireland, Scotland, and Italy trying to qualify.
Yeah, close to not making it. But you got Curacao in there, smallest nation ever to qualify. They're officially in. It'll be fun, but we'll get there, George, because we got business to attend to here in the domestics. We got a bunch of plays for you guys. I'm taking some swings. I'm saying fuck it. Okay,
swings.
I'm taking swings. We got some big plus money plays, and maybe not the biggest game in terms of stakes of the weekend, but arguably the spiciest. It's the North London Derby. Here it's Arsenal against Tottenham Hotspur. This one sees Arsenal as big favorites here at home, a goal and a quarter. Total is set at 2.75. Both teams to score yes at even money. Looks like a decent play there. And I don't mind the draw here, Jordan, plus 375. But what jumped out to you when you started looking at this matchup?
Well, Dev, I mean, the first thing that jumps out to me is that regardless of how these teams are doing season on season, however their season's going, obviously this one circled on the calendar, home and away, right? Both fixtures for the North London Derby. Always these teams get up for them. That makes sense with a Derby match. So I'm not telling anyone anything they don't know. But going back through the numbers, just looking at this Derby in particular, Arsenal has done quite well in it, right, for a while now. But Spurs always give them a game. Like, they're always up for it. And they tend to be able to score even when Arsenal have been this stout defensive unit. And you mentioned it there in the intro that both teams to score yes at even money, one of my favorite prices. Looks a good bet. And you might say, well, why is that? Arsenal barely concede. I mean, before the outlier of Sunderland scoring 2 against them, they really hadn't conceded. They conceded 3 goals through 10 matches at that point. So, look, why would you take this bet? Because you got to just look at the head-to-head data, right? You have to go back to 2017 since both teams to score, yes, didn't hit in a North London derby at Arsenal. So that might be a little hand-wringy there, but I think even if you take away at Arsenal, I believe it's 13 of the last 15 have seen both teams to score, yes, hit. So that's pretty compelling. And I was thinking about it. I mentioned that Sunderland team and the way they approached the Arsenal match. That's kind of like Thomas Frank's bread and butter, right? That's how he wants to set up against a team, especially on the road. So maybe that's a bit of a blueprint here. They're certainly going to play that way, I think, and maybe they can get some joy. The other thing making me lean in this direction, Dev, is some injuries to that Arsenal defense, right? It looks like Gabriel is going to miss this, and that is huge. I mean, that can't be overstated, how much his absence could mean. Timber, I believe, will be out for this one. He's a doubt. So that back line that's been so stout, a little bit shaken up here for this one. So I think at that price, it's fair enough. I got a slightly better price than this after this card was made, plus 105. I'm willing to take a shot there.
Yeah, you said it was Timber not playing. I think Timber's playing. It's Calafiori that's out, right? On the other side.
I see Timber with a knock here over international break and looks a doubt. So
interesting.
Gabrielle
Okay.
is almost certain to miss, but
I know Gabrielle is missing. I had heard it was Calafiori. If it's Calafiori and Timber, that scares me. Yeah, Calafiori. Okay, he actually probably is going to play. But great. So, yeah, Jordan, I think the sneaky thing about Tottenham, even though they're sitting pretty high in the table here, currently in fifth, Arsenal, of course, on top of the table. But Tottenham have been like not convincing. They're one of the worst home teams in the league. Now they're on the road here, so that actually probably helps their case a little bit. But it does feel like even with the injuries missing for Arsenal, maybe that makes Arteta even more terrorist ball and like holding back even further from attacking. Both these teams just want to get set pieces. I know Arsenal are set piece FC, but like Tottenham's set piece FC Junior. They are not threatening in front of goal. I mean, Solanke's been out for a long time. A lot of their best creative players have been out for a while. So you got Brennan Johnson, you got Kudus, you got Richarlison. I mean, those guys can do stuff, but they're not like threatening this Arsenal back line, even with the injuries. This is why Arsenal brought in Piero Hincapié. I assume he'll get the start here in his place. So for me, this feels like really like an under, right? Under 2.75. I looked at that for a long time. And then I started to get greedy, Jordan. I thought, if this does go the way I think it's going to be a pretty slow, methodical, both teams just trying to get fouled, get set pieces. Slow game, not a lot of action. So I thought, okay, under. What if we took the game in half? We go under 1 in the first half is plus 110. And I thought, okay, well, so if one goal is scored on the under 1, then you would push out. And so I got greedy, Jordan. I said, what if it's just 0-0 at halftime? Correct score, plus 225. And that's what I ended up making my pick here, because if this game goes the way I imagine, I don't think either team is going to really threaten in front of goal. Gyökeres is also out for this one for Arsenal. Not that he's lighting up the score sheet, but he does occupy players in the center backs really well. So I think this could be definitely under 2.75. I'm going greedy with it, going with the correct score, halftime 0-0. Because however you want to break this down, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of goals. So I'm impressed that you're going with the 1-1, because this does feel like a 1-0 Arsenal all the way.
1-0 to the Arsenal. Yeah, Dev, look, I guess we're rooting for 0-0 halftime and then at least 1-1 second half, or 2-1 or something, just explosion in the second half. A far cry from the one of our favorite one of the most successful plays we've ever had on this podcast 2 seasons back in the North London derby at Arsenal. We took both teams to score first half at a robust plus 280, and we had 2 units on that banger. It was a glorious day. God tier stuff from us. But look, these teams aren't the same now. So
no,
Yeah, we'll
Same,
see what
pretty
happens.
much same Arsenal, but once you take Ange Ball out of the equation, it's like Thomas Frank is he's like Diet Arteta, He's just trying to be solid in the back, plays the 2 6s, the 2 pivot players there in midfield to cover the back line. Just cautious from all over. We've got someone in the chat here. Bath Time says, hi, lads. Saw this on Twitch, but I suspect you prefer YouTube. I think we prefer whatever it is that you're watching and throwing 5 stars and a like on. Whatever's convenient for you. We appreciate all the viewers. And if you guys do want to jump in the live chat, give us your plays, give us your thoughts on these matchups as we break them down. So, Jordan, let's move on to another big Prem matchup. This one taking place on Saturday, and it's Newcastle United against Manchester City. This one sees Newcastle as home dogs of half a goal. The total is set at 2.75. Jordan, Man City on the money line, -106. Seems like a decent price to get this Man City team just to win at that number. But what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, Dev, few things could be chalkier and more terrifying than taking a road favorite coming off of an international break, especially at a place that's as intense as St. James's Park. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Yeah, listen, I am a little skeeved out by fading Newcastle at St. James's Park. If you look at their record this season, I know everyone's talking about how bad they've been recently, but a lot of that has come away from home. At home, they've been good. And I know they've been doing well in the Champions League, but I'm just kind of focusing on the Prem here. The home-away splits are pretty damning. But regardless of whether they're home or away, they haven't really beaten. They actually, in fact, this is a fact, they haven't beaten anyone above 15th. Actually haven't won against anyone above 15th in the table. That's pretty weird. And they've lost to some relegation fodder too. I know, because my West Ham United beat them 3-1, which was a shock because my team has been absolutely dreadful this season. So things aren't great for the Geordies here. I expect they'll get up for this one. They want to right the ship. There's been a lot of pressure on Eddie Howe, who, by the way, this shocked me, Dev. I heard this in the build-up for this game. Eddie Howe, as a manager in the Premier League, both with Bournemouth and now with Newcastle, has not won against Man City in 18 attempts. He's never beaten them in the Prem. Yeah.
That's a pretty big sample size to not have a single win.
Yeah. And so what I've done here, Dev, I've already said it. I'm going to take Man City on the money line. I was looking at when Newcastle have done well in their Prem matches at home. I've noticed that apart from the Fulham game, all their wins have come with a clean sheet. So I don't think they're keeping a clean sheet against Man City because you have to start this at 1-0 because Haaland's scoring, right?
He has to. The guy's incredible.
Yeah. So this starts at 1-0 with Haaland on the score sheet. And I just think that makes Newcastle play a different way. And I think that plays right into City's hands. And I think they lose the match. They've done well when they've been able to be solid defensively. But I'm not sure they will be against this Man City side, who are really purring. I mean, apart from that Villa match that they lost 1-0, but were the better team in every statistical category, higher XG, shots, corners, all of it. They've been great. So maybe they shouldn't have even lost that match. But yeah, I'm taking City here. I think they're the better team. I think they get it done.
Yeah, Jord, I can't disagree with you. You mentioned the Eddie Howe numbers against Man City. They're really bad. City pretty much just owns Newcastle, home or away. But I do think this one will be circled for Newcastle. Like, they're going to be up for this game. They coming off the international break for both these teams is tough. Almost all the players play. The 3 main midfielders we always talk about, Gumarães, Tonali, Joe Linton, are available and healthy for Newcastle, but this team just doesn't have the depth, right? Even if they start off hot, it seems like they fade in the second half of games because they don't have the robust depth that teams like City and Arsenal do. So I think they can get on the score sheet because they're at home. So I want to start this at both teams to score. You mentioned City are going to score. They just going to score. So 1-1 there. So I just tacked on the both teams to score and over 2.5 here. It's -103. My fear would be Newcastle not scoring, but, Voltamata, Barnes, Anthony Gordon is out for this one. Jacob Murphy has filled in pretty well for him. But there are some defensive injuries, too, for Newcastle, which makes me not love that either. Or suspensions, rather. Dan Burns suspended. I'm seeing actually Joe Linton as doubtful, maybe. Nick Pope is out, so they've got their second choice goalkeeper.
Ramsdale.
So, weird injuries here. A lot going on, except for City. They seem to be pretty good, except missing Rodri, but everybody else is available. So, I also think City win the game here. You can play this on the money line like you did. I think that's smart, but I'm going to get greedy again, Jordan, and I'm going to do Haaland anytime goal scorer plus City money line plus 162 if you parlay those guys together. I just want to bet on Erling Haaland to score goals. Is that wrong? The guy scores every game. He averages more than a goal a game across all competitions. It's insane. I don't think we've seen anything like this since like prime Ronaldo at Real Madrid. Both Ronaldos, in fact. Now I'm going to throw a bunch of numbers at you guys so you can just like fast forward this if it's boring, because some of it's contradictory, but it's interesting. So Newcastle, over 2.5 goals, 5 of the last 7 games for them across all comps. Man City, over 2.5, 4 of the last 5 across all comps. But their head-to-heads have been under 2.5 and 5 of the last 7. But that's slightly misleading, because if you take out the cup competitions, which they've met 3 times in, and you make it at Newcastle, then we've actually seen these two head-to-head go over 2.5 in 6 of the last 7 at Newcastle. So that makes me think this fixture will see some goals. So that's why I'm going with the both teams to score and over. And then I just think City's a better team. Tack on Haaland to score, because why not?
Hey, fair enough, Dev. Bath Time blowing up the chat here, asking who we support. I support West Ham United. Devin hates every team equally.
Yes.
We've also got first game after international break never goes well with South Americans. It's about if City can live without those powerful players and recover the spaces against them, I feel. Good insight there. And finally, from Bath Time, I'm not even sure Haaland will start. Whoa! He will have got leathered after the qualifiers. Possibly. But it's so hard not to start him right now. As long as he's fit, I think they roll him out there. Bob D in the chat saying, Man City money line, what could go wrong? Indeed, sir. Indeed.
Yeah. Tough for me to take a road favorite here.
Yeah.
But again, even if there's not a lot of scoring and it's tight for a while, even if Newcastle go ahead, I think they won't have the legs at the end of the match to keep up with City. So I expect some fireworks here. Should be a fun match either way. But Jordan, let's move over to the peninsula, where we're taking a look at the Derby della Madonnina. I think I got that right. It's the Milan derby. It's Internazionale Milano against AC Milan. This one sees Inter as home favorites of a half a goal, though these teams play in the same stadium. And the total is set at 2.5. Jord, kind of a toss-up here, right? We've got AC Milan on the double chance. That looks appealing. You got a 2.5 goal line. I could see that going either way. So what do you think about this matchup here?
Well, Dev, first I just want to ask you some trivia. Do we know why it's not Derby della Milano and it's Derby della Madonnina, which means the Derby of the Little Madonna?
Well, I think you're about to tell me why.
No, I thought that you were going to answer. We discussed the lore ahead of time.
I was setting up the screen. I didn't know. But...
On top of the Milan Cathedral sits a Madonna, a little Madonna statue. And so it's the Derby of the Little Madonna. And have you seen here, I've added the image, the iconic image here of Rui Costa and Marco Materazzi, watching as the pitch burns during an Inter and AC Milan clash of yesteryear. Just thought that was a fun thing to look at while we break this down. Dev, tough one to call.
And if you're listening on the podcast, I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. Tune in on YouTube. But continue downloading on your podcast app. Do both. Listen, tough one to call, right? It always is. Season on season, one team tends to dominate the derby, home and away, or actually, it's the same stadium. We know that, but either way, one team kind of gets the better of it each season. And I generally want to be with Inter in these situations because I think they're the better team, and there's just more ways for them to hurt you, I think, than AC Milan. And so, that's not the greatest analysis here, but I wasn't able to pick a side, right? Just because both of these teams come into this in pretty decent form. They're not too far apart in the table. Inter have scored more goals, certainly. Milan, the thing that puts me off of Milan here is just that they get into shootouts with teams they really shouldn't be, right? Like newly promoted sides are putting a couple on them. And I'm just thinking, well, then you're coming up against Inter here. I can't see you keeping a clean sheet. Kind of wanted to take Inter money line. But then I thought, well, what if this turns into one of those insane matches that we've seen a couple of times now between these two in recent seasons, or like what happened with Inter and Juventus earlier this season? What if this is a 2-2 or a 3-2? I'm going to take that Inter team total here, over 1.5. It says -120 on our card here, but I have found a better price on that since this, and it is -110 that I found for them to score twice. I think if they do score twice, they probably do win the match, but I don't want to mess with that in case it is one of these barn burners where we do get a 2-2 or something like that. So not often do I say I want to bring in the 2-2. So I'm taking an over 1.5 team total, but that's where I'm going with this one. And I think Inter have the horses to do it. So that's my play for this. What about you?
Yeah, I was torn on this total here, George, because that's what I was looking at too. Because in their head-to-head matchups, I think it's 5 of the last 7. I've gone over 2.5 goals, and you don't even have to add both teams to score, so it's not a bad shout. But then I'm like, wait, no, this is the Serie A, and the last time I tried to take a Milan over, I think it ended 0-0. So I was shamed by them, and I worry that like sometimes these Italian matchups become really defensive, especially when with Allegri in charge now at AC Milan. I think he wants the team to be more solid defensively, but maybe hasn't been able to fully implement the system yet. But they're working on it, and that makes me nervous. Makes me nervous. 2 points separate these two. I think this is going to be a tight one, so I didn't want to even look at the goals. I was like, because I could see this going either way. It's almost a coin flip. If there's an early goal, you think surely it's going to go over 2.5. If it's 0-0 at halftime, it's like, well, maybe this ends 1-0 either way. So I elected to just go with AC Milan, getting the double chance here. I just think getting 2 of the 3 outcomes, I think you're right. Inter's probably better on paper, but they've got a look ahead spot for the Champions League. They've got Atletico Madrid in the midweek. AC Milan got nobody. This is their only show in town. So I'm going to go with that plus 0.5 goal, Jord. I think it's a little too much value. I think this AC Milan team wants to beat Inter. They've had their number recently, unbeaten in their last 5 head-to-heads. Now, 3 of those were cup competitions. But if you include those, unbeaten in 5. So that would cash me this bet. And both of these teams are top 2 in expected goal differential on the season in the Serie A. So arguably the 2 best teams in the Serie A this season. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think so, Devin. And this is one where, we're not exactly oppo, but we need luck to break our way to cash both of our plays. But it could happen. Give us that 2-2. That would be incredible. This is an interesting question from Bath Time here. We've got, do you think having these games sandwiched between internationals and European competitions will affect the lineups? It certainly won't for this derby, but other games maybe. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I think we've chosen for this return from the internationals to pick games that these teams can't really think about rotating for, right? Like for the most part, we took the North London derby. We took the Milan derby here. Newcastle City, not quite the same steam, but, a big match for sure. And we got some other ones forthcoming.
Right on. Well, Jordan, let's move over now to the other peninsula in Iberia. It's Barcelona against Athletic Club Bilbao. This one sees Barcelona as home favorites of 1.25 goals, -1.25. The total is set at a flat 3. Jord, Barcelona finally returning to the Camp Nou that has been under construction now for quite some time. They're returning home I expect there to be some fireworks in this one on the Barcelona side. But what do you think about this matchup here?
Well, Dev, fireworks indeed. And this one didn't take me very long to come up with a play for at all, because it's a Barcelona match, Dev. We know what's going to happen, right?
100%.
They going to score, they going to concede, and they probably going to score more than the opposition. So hard not to play it this way. They've had both teams to score yes hit in 10 straight, and you're giving me minus 143 on both teams to score yes. That's weird. That's just weird. I know Bilbao have been a little goal shy so far this season. They haven't been notching as much as they have in previous seasons. Been a little kind of muted in attack, but in terms of getting on the score sheet, Barcelona's a get-right game for anyone right now. I'm not saying they're going to win or get a result here, but they gonna score. So it was easy for me here, Dev. Barcelona to win the match and both teams to score yes at plus 175. That's too big. It's too big of a price for something that happens pretty much every time this team hosts a match. I wasn't aware that this was actually the first game back at the Camp Nou. So cool. Even more reason to like the Barcelona money line part of this. Really, and the question is, can Bilbao get on the score sheet? And I think they can because of the suicide high line and everything else. Now, maybe this is one where we do see Flick rotate a little bit with players coming back. I know the midfield's banged up and they do have Champs League a few days later. So maybe we see some of that, but just the way they play and at home here with the struggles that Athletic Club are having so far this season, I think it's pretty safe that whoever rolls out there can get a couple of goals and bring home the victory. And I've already said, I just don't see them keeping a clean sheet.
Yeah, Jordan, well, we've seen both teams score in 10 straight Barcelona matches. We've seen over 2.5 goals in 10 straight Barcelona matches. We know what Flick ball is. We talk about it all the time. Hansi Flick, the manager, this is what he does. They play the suicide hard line and they say, well, we're just going to outscore you. And they've been doing well this season. You know, the Barcelona's problem has been injuries. If they can get healthy here, straighten some things out, they could absolutely win La Liga. They could definitely catch Real Madrid, who are a little shaky. I don't know. We're not covering them in this pod. Maybe we'll get to them in the Champions League. But I love it. Thank you, Hansi Flick, for giving us obvious bets. Because I'm with you, George. We're coming back to the new camp here. It's a Barcelona win. La Liga will make sure Barcelona win, even if Bilbao's getting frisky. So then it's a question of, well, how do we get it on side? Because the money line on its own, minus 225. It's like, well, let's bring out the parlay machine, baby. I'm adding 2.5 goals, over 2.5 goals, to the Barcelona money line. Comes out at minus 110. George, I like the way you're attacking it too, adding the both teams to score for a better price. I'm going to put 2 units on this. This is my favorite play of the week here is the money line and the over 2.5 goals. Look, 10 straight Barcelona matches, probably goes even further because my data doesn't track it that far, of over 2.5 goals. And I think they win the game at Camp Nou, so I'm doing that. And then, Jordan, I'm going to take a dip into a market I don't often do because I'm just greedy this week. I'm just feeling it. And I want to look at a score or assist prop here. I'm going to go with Dani Olmo. Dani Olmo to score or assist for Barcelona. It's 2-1 plus 200. I'm pretty sure he's going to start the game. You've got some injuries for Barcelona. Gavi and Pedri are out. Frankie de Jong is suspended for this one. So that midfield, a little bit thin. It's going to be probably Fermin Lopez, Dani Olmo, and Casado in there in the midfield. Lamine Yamal, questionable. And then you got Rashford and Lewandowski's back. So there's going to be goals in this one. And so I want to get a piece of it. I think another way you could look at it would be the Lewandowski, maybe to score like a brace in this one. Don't have the price on that in front of me, but I'm going to go with Olmo. He was out for all of October injured, started getting back in the lineup in November here, and then scored for Spain in his most recent international game. So, you know, maybe he's got some confidence now coming back from that injury. So I like him to score or assist here, Jordan, plus 200.
Yeah, that price is too big if he gets the start. So I do like that, Dev.
Yeah, and you got to shop around for that, especially when you get to player player props. Catherine in the chat says, lovely beard, Devin. The podcast listeners are missing out. Well, thank you. It is a November beard. It's a absolutely frigid 50 degrees in Southern California right now, and I am freezing over here. So this beard is helping keep my face warm. Jordan, we got one more matchup for you guys. Let's move on. It's over in the Bundesliga. It's Borussia Dortmund against VfB Stuttgart. This one sees Dortmund as home favorites at 3/4 of a goal. Total set at a flat 3. Jordan, Dortmund on the money line, -134. Seems like a sure hit, right?
Not so fast, Dev. This is a pretty big match, even if it doesn't seem that way on the surface. We've got 3rd versus 4th here in the table. This match matters for Champions League places next season for sure. And it's also been a hotly contested match over the last few seasons. So this Dortmund team, hard to make heads or tails of, right? They're generally pretty good defensively. They don't give up much unless they play teams that are pretty good, and then they concede a couple, right? They got boat raced at Man City. Obviously, Bayern beat them 2-1, but that is a little misleading because Bayern could have had like 4 in the first half. They just like missed like so many big chances. So the 2-1 kind of flatters Dortmund in that one. So when they come up against someone good, they're not as stout defensively. So I'm not sure that's, if you look through their score lines, you'll see, man, they don't give much away, but really look into who their opponents have been. Stuttgart on the other side of this, Dev, they score goals. Okay, that's what we can track from them. Win, lose, or draw, they're getting a couple in most of their matches here, if not 3 or 4. And they've played Dortmund well in recent seasons. And because of that, actually, let me give you like a concrete stat instead of just saying they've played them well. So in the head-to-heads here, just over the last... Well, the last 3 head-to-heads in the Bundesliga, Stuttgart have won all of them while scoring 5-2, and there was a 1-0. But other than that, Stuttgart putting up multiple goals. In the Pokal, before that, 2-0 to Stuttgart. Before that, another Bundesliga win for Stuttgart, 2-1. Before that, a 3-3. So, Dev, I was torn between just taking Stuttgart ATS on the spread here, plus 0.75 on the handicap. That could bring in, a Stuttgart result if it is cagey and Dortmund don't give up much, like you get a 1-1 situation or something. But I couldn't look past that robust plus 162 on the Stuttgart team total over 1.5 for Stuttgart to score twice, something they've done in all of those matches I mentioned, bar one. I think they keep it going here. They're in good form. There could be some rotation here, but it's a big match. It means something at the top of the table. I think we're going to get their best effort here. And I just couldn't look past the price. I think it's a little too big for the attack that Stuttgart have right now. So team total over 1.5 for Stuttgart, plus 162 is my play.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to go, Jord. I elected to stay off this one. I don't get Dortmund this year because in the Champions League, their games are flying over. In the Bundesliga, they're flying under. And 5 straight head-to-head meetings, Stuttgart outright winners in all of those, and unbeaten in 6 in the head-to-head matchup. So that makes me I think that plus 0.75 for Stuttgart on the Asian handicap is not bad. But I elected to stay off it. I could absolutely see 1-0 here at Dortmund. I'm sorry if that wouldn't help you. But, I elected to just stay away. I haven't gotten the Bundesliga right at all this year, so I'm just staying off it.
Fair enough, Dev. You had multiple plays from other matches. You've got a 2-unit play on another one, so I think it's fair to stay off of this one if you're not feeling it.
Yeah. Well, should we ask Roxy the dog what she thinks? If you're watching this, you can see the dog on the couch behind me.
Hard to tell from my view that it's even a dog.
Okay.
Could just be some pillows or maybe a stuffed animal. Although I have you in a small screen, so yeah, hard to say.
Anyway, boring the listeners on the podcast once again. Catherine says, looks like a pillow. Well, in many ways, she is a pillow
yes,
me.
Indeed.
But Jordan, look, it's one thing to talk about these matchups, but before we get out of here, there's something we got to do.
Yes, indeed, Dev. It's one thing to talk about these matchups, and it's quite another to put our money where our mouths are and pay the bookie.
Chuck, I'm going to tell you something. You have that fucking 200 in my hands tomorrow. If you ain't got the 200 in my fucking hands tomorrow, I'll break every fucking bone in your body.
Well, Jordan, looks like the hazy IPA finally caught up to me, and I was getting my my speech wrong there.
Yeah, we're rusty.
Saying,
Yeah, we're coming back from the
we're
international
rusty.
break. A little rusty.
Yeah, I was too busy up drinking with the Scots. With the Irish have a shot, Wales have a shot. Good international break for the British Isles there.
Yeah.
But Jordan, let's talk about this weekend. Let's put the official plays up on the board here. I'll read them out for you guys. I've got a bunch of bangers, and it starts with exact score halftime. Arsenal Spurs in the North London derby, 0-0. Talk about a sweat. That is going to be horrifying. Plus 225 if it comes through. I'll feel good. Jordan, on Saturday, Newcastle Man City, both teams to score and over 2.5, minus 105. And just for some funsies, Erling Haaland, the king, the Viking, to score anytime, parlayed with Manchester City on the money line to win the game, plus 162. AC Milan in the Milan derby, plus a half a goal, minus 109. Over in Barcelona against Bilbao, Barcelona on the money line, and over 2.5 goals in the match, parlayed, minus 110. I'm going 2 units on it, Jordan. I'm going big. And I'm also throwing in Danny Olmo to score or assist at plus 200. What could go wrong, baby?
Indeed, Dev. And in my North London derby selection, I've gone for both teams to score yes at plus 105. Let's hope that happens in the second half. Manchester City traveling to St. James's Park. I'm taking them on the money line. Road favorites, minus 106. Inter, team total over 1.5 at minus 110 in the Derby della Madonnina. And Dev, it's going to be tough for us to both cash on that derby, but there is a chance. Give us a 2-2. Give us a 3-2. We'll take it. In Barcelona Athletic Club, I'm going Barca money line just like you are, but I'm being greedier and taking both teams to score yes at a robust plus 175. And finally, in the Bundesliga, I'm taking Stuttgart team total over 1.5 at plus 162.
Hell yeah, Jordan. Well, that's going to do it for us, but any last words for the people?
Just welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. For those of you who joined us live, we appreciate you chirping in the chat. Good discussion there today. And for anyone not with us live, just tuning in later on, listening and not watching on a podcast app like Spotify, or watching on YouTube after the fact, we appreciate each and every one of you. Do help us out if you enjoy the show by giving us some love, hitting likes, giving videos hype, sharing it, really. Sharing it with people is something we could really use. So we're trying to grow this thing. We're doing well with our podcast numbers. YouTube is slowly but surely growing. We'd like to make a bigger impact there. So if you can help us out, consider subscribing and liking. We'd appreciate it. Catherine in the chat saying, I smashed every button. And that's what we like to hear. Smash away. We appreciate it. Other than that, Dev, I just want to say we're coming back from the international break. Let's hope it's a nice return to the domestics for us. We've got some big matchups here, and we're going to be doing this again on Monday night as we look at the Champions League fixtures on Tuesday and Wednesday next week. All coming thick and fast, like you said. So let's hope this is a winning return to the domestic European leagues.
Hell yeah.
Let's make some money.
Let's make some money.
Martial.